Dr. Zixathera stepped off the transport ship and looked around the human space station. Her four eyes moved quickly as she took in everything around her. The station was much different from what she expected. She had visited many colonies across the galaxy, but this one felt strange. The walls were painted in bright colors. Humans walked around talking and laughing. Children ran through the halls while their parents smiled and waved at her. This was not how most species acted when she arrived to give her warnings about dangerous animals. Her long blue fingers held a data pad filled with information about deadly creatures. As the galaxy's top expert on dangerous predators, she had saved countless lives by teaching colonists how to stay safe. Most species listened carefully to every word she said. They took notes and asked serious questions about survival. But these humans seemed different. Jake Martinez walked toward her with a big smile on his face. He was the colony administrator, the person in charge of keeping everyone safe. His brown hair was messy and his clothes looked worn. There was a small bandage on his left hand. Dr. Zixathera, welcome to New Haven Station, Jake said in a friendly voice. We're really excited to meet you. Everyone's been talking about your visit. She looked at him carefully. Most colony leaders were nervous when she arrived. They knew her reputation. When Dr. Zixathera came to a colony, it meant there were deadly animals nearby. It meant people might die if they were not careful. Thank you for having me, she replied in her careful English. The translator device around her neck helped her speak human languages, but she still had to think about each word. I hope you understand why I am here. This sector has some of the most dangerous creatures in known space. Jake nodded and scratched the bandage on his hand. Yeah, we figured there might be some tough animals around here. That's why we asked for an expert. Lisa Brown walked up to join them. She was the security chief, responsible for protecting the colony from threats. Lisa held a cup of coffee in one hand and had her other hand in her pocket. She looked relaxed, almost bored. Nice to meet you, Doc, Lisa said with a casual wave. Hope you don't mind if I drink my coffee during the meeting. Haven't had my second cup yet today. Dr. Zixathera felt confused. Security chiefs were usually the most serious people she met. They asked detailed questions about weapons and defense strategies. They wanted to know exactly how to protect their people. But Lisa seemed more interested in her coffee than in deadly predators. Of course, Dr. Zixathera said slowly. But I must stress the importance of this briefing. The creatures in this sector have killed members of over 800 different species. Wow, that's a lot, Jake said, but his voice didn't sound worried. Well, let's head to the conference room. Most of the senior staff is already there. As they walked through the station, Dr. Zixathera noticed more strange things. A maintenance worker named Pete Johnson was fixing a broken panel. His shirt had several small tears in it, and there were fresh scratches on his arms. When he saw her looking, he smiled and waved. Morning, Doc. Heard you're here to tell us about the local wildlife. Should be interesting. She stared at his scratched arms. Are you injured? Do you need medical attention? Pete looked down at his arms and shrugged. Oh, these? Nah, just had a little run-in with some thorny plants yesterday. Nothing serious. The alien doctor made a mental note. Pete's injuries looked like claw marks, not plant scratches. But she decided to focus on the briefing first. She would investigate these injuries later. In the conference room, 12 humans sat around a large table. Dr. Zixathera noticed that almost half of them had small bandages, healing cuts, or fresh scars. One woman named Carol Davis had her arm in a sling. A man called Steve Miller had a bruised face. This was very unusual. Most colonies kept their people safe during the early stages of settlement. They stayed inside protective barriers until experts like her could teach them about local dangers. But these humans looked like they had already been fighting with dangerous animals. All right, everyone, Jake said as he sat down. Dr. Zixathera is here to tell us about the predators in our new neighborhood. Let's give her our full attention. Humans turned to look at her, but their expressions were calm and curious rather than worried. Dr. Zixathera had given this type of briefing hundreds of times. Usually people looked scared or at least concerned. These humans looked like they were waiting for an interesting story. She activated her holographic display system. Images of massive, deadly creatures appeared in the air above the table. Most species gasped or stepped back when they saw these images. The humans leaned forward to get a better look. Before we begin, Dr. Zixthera said, I need to ask about the injuries I've observed. Have there already been encounters with local wildlife? The humans looked at each other and several of them chuckled. Danny Cooper, the colony's biologist, raised his hand. We've run into a few animals here and there, he said casually. Nothing too serious, though. Just part of exploring a new world, right? Dr. Zixthera felt her breathing sacs tighten with worry. These humans were talking about encounters with unknown predators like they were discussing the weather. In her experience, early contact with dangerous animals usually meant emergency evacuations and medical emergencies. I see, she said carefully. Well, let's begin with the most dangerous species in this sector. I want to make sure you understand the extreme risks you face. She touched her control pad, and the first image appeared. It showed a sleek, wolf-like creature with glowing eyes and crystal-sharp fangs. Several humans made appreciative sounds as if they were looking at an interesting pet rather than a deadly predator. Dr. Zixthera realized this briefing was going to be very different from what she had planned. Dr. Zixthera touched her control device and the holographic image grew larger. The creature that appeared above the conference table was beautiful and terrifying. It looked like a wolf, but its body was covered in scales that sparkled like diamonds. Its eyes glowed bright yellow and its teeth were made of what looked like sharp crystal. This is the Draconis mortalis, she said in her most serious voice. In your language, you might call it a crystal fang predator. It is one of the most dangerous animals in this part of the galaxy. The humans around the table leaned closer to get a better look. Some of them whispered to each other, but they did not look scared. Dr. Zixthera found this very strange. When she showed this image to other species, they usually moved away from the table or asked to turn off the display. The Draconis is about the size of your earth wolves, but much more deadly, she continued. They hunt in packs of 5 to 8 animals. They are very smart and can plan attacks together. Jake Martinez nodded and took notes on his data pad. Interesting. How fast can they run? They can reach speeds of 80 kilometers per hour, Dr. Zixthera replied. But speed is not their most dangerous feature. The real threat comes from their bite. She touched the control again and zoomed in on the creature's mouth. The crystal teeth gleamed in the light. Each tooth was perfectly sharp and hollow in the center. These teeth inject a powerful poison into their victims, she explained. The poison attacks the blood and nervous system. It has killed members of 847 different species. Death usually occurs within 3 to 4 minutes. Lisa Brown sipped her coffee and raised her hand. What does the poison do exactly? First, it stops the blood from clotting, so victims bleed heavily from the bite wound, Dr. Zixthera said. Then it attacks the heart and brain. Victims experience severe pain, difficulty breathing, and organ failure. There is no known cure or treatment. The alien doctor expected gasps of horror or worried questions about protection. Instead, Danny Cooper scratched his arm and said, Oh, you mean the crystal wolves? Yeah, we've seen those around here. Dr. Zixthera's translator device made a strange buzzing sound as it tried to process what Danny had said. Crystal wolves? Was he talking about the same creature? Crystal wolves, she asked carefully. Are you referring to the Draconis mortalis? I guess that's the scientific name, Danny replied with a shrug. We just call them crystal wolves because of their teeth. Pretty neat-looking animals. Dr. Zixthera felt her 4 hearts begin to beat faster. You have seen these creatures? From how far away? Please tell me you observed them from inside a protected vehicle. Danny scratched the small scar on his forearm again. Not exactly. I got a bit too close to a den last week during our biological survey. The mother wolf didn't like me being near her babies. The room went very quiet. Dr. Zixthera stared at Danny with all 4 of her eyes. Her breathing became rapid and shallow. This was impossible. No one got close to a Draconis den and lived to tell about it. You approached a Draconis den? She whispered. On foot? Well, I didn't know it was a den at first, Danny explained. I was collecting plant samples and heard some interesting sounds from inside a cave. Went to investigate and found a whole family of crystal wolves. Dr. Zixthera's hands began to shake. What happened when you encountered them? The mother, Came charging out to protect her pups, Danny said casually. Can't blame her for that. Any good parent would do the same thing. She bit me on the arm and I backed away quickly. Didn't want to cause any more trouble for the family. The alien doctor stood up so fast that her chair fell over. She bit you? The Draconis bit you? Yeah, right here, Danny said, pointing to the scar on his arm. Hurt like crazy for about an hour. Had to sit down and wait for the pain to stop before I could walk back to the settlement. Dr. Zixthera looked around the room at the other humans. They were all listening to Danny's story with calm interest, as if he was talking about getting caught in the rain. No one seemed shocked or horrified. Danny, she said very slowly, you were bitten by a Draconis mortalis 1 week ago? That's right, last Tuesday around noon. And you are still alive? Danny looked confused by the question. Of course I'm still alive. Why wouldn't I be? Dr. Zixthera sat back down in her chair. Her mind was racing. This was scientifically impossible. The Galactic Medical Council had detailed records of every known Draconis encounter. Every single victim had died within minutes of being bitten. Every single one. Danny, she said carefully, did you receive immediate medical treatment? Some kind of experimental antidote? Sue Martinez cleaned the wound and gave me some pain medicine, Danny replied. Dr. Kelly Wright looked at it later and said it was healing fine. Nothing special. The alien doctor felt dizzy. Sue Martinez was listed as a botanist, someone who studied plants. Dr. Kelly Wright was a general medical officer, not a specialist in alien toxins. They had treated a lethal Draconis bite with basic first aid. I need to see medical records of this incident immediately, Dr. Zixthera said, and I need to examine the bite wound. Sure thing, Danny said, rolling up his sleeve. Though there's not much to see anymore, just a small scar. Dr. Zixthera looked at Danny's arm. There were 2 small puncture marks already healed over. They looked like ordinary scars from any minor animal bite. But she knew these marks should belong to a dead person. Her training told her this was impossible. Her instruments would prove that Danny was lying or confused. But as she looked around the room at the calm, healthy humans, she began to wonder if everything she knew about galactic biology might be wrong. Dr. Zixthera stood in the medical bay staring at the scanner results. She had run the test 3 times, but the numbers were always the same. Danny Cooper was completely healthy. His blood showed no signs of damage from Draconis poison. His heart was strong. His brain was working perfectly, but there were traces of the deadly toxin still in his blood. This cannot be right, she whispered to herself. Her 4 hands moved quickly over the medical equipment, checking each setting twice. The scanners must be broken. Dr. Kelly Wright entered the medical bay carrying a cup of tea. She was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She moved slowly and spoke in a gentle voice. Finding everything you need, Dr. Zixthera? Kelly asked. I know our equipment isn't as fancy as what you probably have on the big medical ships. Your equipment is fine, the alien doctor replied, but these results make no sense. According to these scans, Danny Cooper has Draconis poison in his blood. Kelly nodded and sipped her tea. That makes sense. He was bitten just last week. Dr. Zixthera turned all 4 eyes toward the human doctor. You do not understand. Draconis. Poison kills within minutes. Danny should be dead. Well, he's not dead, Kelly said with a small smile. He came to see me the day after the bite. Said his arm was sore, but otherwise he felt fine. I gave him some antibiotics to prevent infection and sent him home. The alien doctor felt her breathing sacs tighten. Did you give him any special medicine? Any treatment for the poison? Just basic wound care, Kelly replied. Cleaned it with antiseptic and put on a bandage. Same thing I do for any animal bite. Dr. Zixthera sat down heavily in a chair. This was impossible. She had studied Draconis attacks for over 20 years. She had seen the medical records from dozens of different planets. Every victim had died quickly and painfully. There were no survivors. But Danny Cooper was walking around the station, healthy and happy, with deadly poison still flowing through his veins. I need to contact the Galactic Medical Council, she said. They need to know about this immediately. Dr. Zixathera went to her quarters and activated her long-range communication device. The call took several minutes to connect across the vast distances of space. Finally, the image of Dr. Kel'Thuzad appeared on her screen. He was the head of the medical council and one of the smartest beings in the galaxy. Dr. Zixathera, he said in the formal language of his people, your message sounded urgent. What is the nature of this emergency? I have discovered a human who survived a Draconis mortalis bite, she replied quickly. He was bitten 7 days ago and shows no ill effects. Dr. Kel'Thuzad's 3 heads all turned to look at her with surprise. That is impossible, you must be mistaken. I have run medical scans 3 times, she insisted. The human still has Draconis toxin in his blood, but he is completely healthy. Send me the medical data immediately, Dr. Kel'Thuzad commanded. This requires immediate investigation. Dr. Zixathera transmitted all of Danny's medical scans to the medical council. She waited nervously for their response. After an hour, her communication device chimed with an incoming message. Dr. Zixathera, Dr. Kel'Thuzad's voice was strained and worried. We have reviewed the data you sent. Our computers confirm the presence of Draconis toxin, but this should not be possible. Are you certain this human was actually bitten? I have examined the bite marks personally, she replied. They match Draconis dental patterns exactly. This changes everything we know about that toxin, Dr. Kel'Thuzad said slowly. You must gather more information. Test other humans if possible. We need to understand how this is happening. After ending the call, Dr. Zixathera decided to investigate further. She walked through the station looking for other humans with injuries. It did not take long to find them. Sue Martinez was working in the botanical lab when Dr. Zixathera found her. Sue was a cheerful woman with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. Her hands were covered in small cuts and her arms had several fresh scratches. Sue, may I ask about your injuries? Dr. Zixathera said politely. Sue looked down at her hands and laughed. Oh, these? Just occupational hazards. Some of the local plants have thorns that are sharper than they look. May I scan your injuries with my medical equipment? Sure, if you want to, Sue replied. Though they're nothing serious. Dr. Zixathera ran her portable scanner over Sue's hands and arms. The results made her feel dizzy. Sue's blood contained traces of at least 6 different plant toxins. Any one of them should have caused severe illness or death in most galactic species. But Sue was humming softly while she worked, completely unaffected. Next, Dr. Zixathera found Alex Turner in the maintenance section. He was a tall man with strong arms and a friendly smile. His shirt was torn and there were long scratches across his back. Rough day? She asked, looking at his injuries. Alex turned and grinned. Got too close to some of those big flying insects yesterday. They didn't appreciate me fixing their favorite perch. Dr. Zixathera knew immediately what he meant. The only large flying insects in this sector were Vespid supremus, commonly called death wasps. Their stings paralyzed victims within seconds and caused heart failure within minutes. You were stung by Vespid supremus? She asked in shock. Is that what they're called? We just call them buzzer bugs, Alex said. Got stung about 15 times while I was working on the external sensors. Had to take the rest of the day off because it made me feel dizzy. Dr. Zixathera stared at him in amazement. 15 Vespid. Stings should have killed him instantly. But Alex had gone home, taken a nap, and returned to work the next morning. She ran her scanner over his back. The results confirmed her worst fears. Alex's blood was full of Vespid toxin, but his vital signs were completely normal. As she walked back to her quarters, Dr. Zixathera realized she was not dealing with isolated incidents. These humans seemed to have immunity to toxins that had shaped galactic civilization for thousands of years. Entire star systems had been abandoned because of creatures like the Draconis and Vespid, but humans were treating them like minor annoyances. She sat down at her desk and began writing a report that would change everything the galaxy knew about human biology. Word traveled fast through the space station. Dr. Zixathera had been asking questions about injuries and running medical scans on anyone who would let her. The humans found this interesting rather than worrying. They seemed to enjoy talking about their encounters with dangerous animals. By the 3rd day, humans were coming to find her instead of the other way around. Hey, Doc, called out Ryan Blake as he walked into the medical bay. He was the head of security and looked like he had been in a fight. His uniform was torn in several places, and there were long claw marks across his chest and back. Dr. Zixthera looked up from her notes and gasped. The injuries looked fresh and deep. "Ryan, you need immediate medical attention. Those wounds could become infected." Ryan looked down at his torn shirt and shrugged. "Yeah, I should probably change clothes. This was my favorite shirt too." "What happened to you?" she asked, preparing her medical scanner. "Had to relocate a family of those big bear things," Ryan explained casually. They had moved too close, to the farming area. The parents weren't happy about being asked to leave. Dr. Zixthera nearly dropped her scanner. "Bear things? Do you mean ursine devastators? Is that what they're called?" "We just call them claw bears because of their huge claws," Ryan said. "Really impressive animals. Must weigh about 800 pounds each." The alien doctor felt her world spin. Ursine devastators were massive predators covered in thick fur and equipped with claws that could cut through metal. But their most dangerous feature was the poison that dripped from their claws. The toxin caused flesh to rot and die within hours of contact. "Ryan," she said very slowly, "did the claws break your skin?" "Oh yeah, the big male got me pretty good," Ryan replied, lifting his shirt to show the scratches. "Stings a bit, but nothing too bad." Dr. Zixthera ran her scanner over Ryan's injuries. The results were becoming predictably impossible. His blood contained high levels of necrotizing toxin from ursine devastator claws. The poison was designed to eat away at living tissue until the victim died from organ failure. But Ryan's wounds were healing normally. The toxin was present but completely harmless to him. "How did you relocate them?" she asked weakly. Carefully, Ryan grinned. "Used some of the emergency sirens to make noise and encourage them to move along. The parents were protective of their cubs, which I respect. But they eventually got the message and headed deeper into the forest." Dr. Zixthera sat down and put her head in her hands. Ryan had approached a family of Galaxy-class predators alone, got scratched by poison claws, and considered it a successful day at work. Over the next few hours, more humans came to share their stories. Each tale was more impossible than the last. Carol Davis from the communications department had been stung by a neurotherm scorpion while setting up a relay station. These creatures were the size of small cars, and their venom attacked the nervous system, causing paralysis and death within 10 minutes. Carol had felt a bit wobbly for an hour, and then finished her work. Steve Miller from the engineering team had been bitten by a crimson viper while repairing a water pump. These snakes were thin as cables, but their bite liquefied internal organs. Steve complained that the bite had given him a headache and made him miss lunch. Tom Harris from agriculture had been sprayed by an acid spitter while checking on the crop fields. These lizard-like creatures shot streams of acid that could dissolve bone. Tom said the acid had ruined his work clothes and made his skin itch. Each human Dr. Zixthera tested had toxins in their blood that should have killed them. But they were all healthy, happy, and planning to go back to their regular jobs the next day. She tried to explain the danger to them, but they just smiled and nodded politely. Dr. Zixthera, Jake Martinez said when she cornered him in his office, "We appreciate your concern, but we've got work to do. This colony isn't going to build itself." "Jake, you do not understand," she pleaded. "These creatures have made entire star systems uninhabitable. Whole civilizations have abandoned planets because of them." "Well, they're not that bad once you get used to them," Jake replied. "Most of them just want to be left alone. We try to respect their space and they mostly respect ours." Dr. Zixthera realized she needed help. She sent emergency messages to every major scientific institution in the galaxy. She contacted the Galactic Council, the Interspecies Medical Alliance, and the University of Cosmic Biology. The responses were all the same. What she was reporting was impossible. Dr. Veltar from the Andromedan Institute wrote back saying, "Dr. Zixthera, we respect your work, but you must be making errors in your testing. Perhaps the human equipment is malfunctioning." Professor Zikmoth from the Galactic University was more direct. "These results contradict centuries of established science. I suggest you recalibrate your instruments and test again. But Dr. Zixthera knew her equipment was working perfectly. She had tested it dozens of times. The impossible truth was staring her in the face. Humans were immune to toxins that had shaped galactic civilization for thousands of years. She sat in her quarters that evening, writing in her personal log. Outside her window, she could see human children playing in the station's garden area. The garden was located in what she had marked as an extreme biological hazard zone because of the local plant life. The children were laughing and chasing each other through plants that would kill most galactic species with a single touch. There, parents sat nearby chatting casually while sipping beverages. Dr. Zixthera realized that everything she thought she knew about biology, chemistry, and survival was wrong. These humans had evolved on a world so hostile that they could survive anything the galaxy threw at them, and they acted like it was completely normal. She began typing a new report, one that would change how the galaxy viewed humanity forever. But she wondered if anyone would believe her. Dr. Zixthera finished typing her final report to the Galactic Council at 3 a.m. Her 4 hands shook as she read through the document one last time. Every word was true, but she knew it would sound like science fiction to most readers. The report was titled Critical Revision of Human Biological Classification and Galactic Threat Assessment. It was 12 pages long and contained medical data that would change everything. She had proven that humans were not just resistant to certain toxins. They were immune to substances that had never existed on their home world. Somehow, evolution had prepared them for threats they had never encountered. Her conclusion was simple and terrifying. Humans were the most dangerous species in known space, and they did not even realize it. The next morning, Jake Martinez found her in the medical bay staring at her completed report. "You look tired, Doc," he said with concern. "Have you been sleeping?" "Jake," she said slowly, "I need to ask you something important. When your people first arrived here, did you know about the dangerous animals?" Jake scratched his head and thought about it. "We knew there would be some local wildlife. Every planet has animals, right? We figured we'd deal with whatever we found. But you had no special preparation? No advanced medical supplies, no protective equipment?" "Nah, just the usual colony supplies," Jake replied. "Basic medical kit, some tools, food and water for the first few months. Standard stuff." Dr. Zixthera felt a chill run through her body. The humans had landed on one of the most dangerous worlds in the galaxy with nothing but basic supplies. They had treated it like a camping trip. "Jake, I need to tell you something," she said. "This planet is classified as uninhabitable by galactic standards. No other species could survive here." Jake looked confused. "Really? It seems pretty nice, to me. Good weather, plenty of water, lots of interesting animals and plants." "Those interesting animals have toxins that would kill most galactic citizens instantly," she explained. "Your people have been surviving encounters that would wipe out entire civilizations." "Huh," Jake said, looking thoughtful. "I guess we're tougher than we look." That afternoon, Jake called a colony meeting to discuss Dr. Zixthera's findings. The humans gathered in the main conference room, chatting and laughing as usual. Many of them brought coffee or snacks. Dr. Zixthera stood before them feeling like she was about to announce the end of the world. In a way, she was. "I have completed my analysis of your encounters with local wildlife," she began. "My findings will be sent to the Galactic Council today." "Great," said Lisa Brown. "What's the verdict? Are we doing okay out here?" Dr. Zixthera took a deep breath. "You are doing more than okay. You are surviving in conditions that would exterminate most known species." The humans looked pleased with this news. Several of them smiled and nodded approvingly. "The creatures on this world have kept this entire star system empty for over 2,000 years, she continued. "Dozens of species have tried to colonize here. None have survived longer than a few weeks." "Well, we've been here 8 months. Now," Danny Cooper said proudly. "Guess we're doing something right." "You do not understand," Dr. Zixthera said desperately. "You are not doing anything special. You are simply immune to toxins that kill everything else in the galaxy." The humans exchanged glances and shrugs. This information seemed interesting, but not particularly important to them. "So what happens now?" asked Ryan Blake. "Do we need to change anything?" Dr. Zixthera realized that nothing she said would make them understand how impossible their survival was. To them, this was just another day in their new home. "The Galactic Council will want to study you," she said. "Scientists from across the galaxy will come here to understand how this is possible." "That sounds fun," Carol Davis said. "We don't get many visitors out here." 2 days later, Dr. Zixthera received a response from the Galactic Council. The message was marked Emergency Priority and came directly from the High Chancellor. "Dr. Zixthera," the message read, "your report has caused significant concern among Council members. We are sending a team of experts to verify your findings immediately. If your conclusions are correct, we must revise our understanding of human capabilities and potential threat levels." The alien doctor smiled sadly as she read the message. The galaxy was about to learn what she already knew. Humans were not just another species to be cataloged and studied. They were something entirely new. That evening, she walked through the colony one last time before her departure. Jake Martinez was organizing a pest control expedition to deal with a pack of crystal wolves that had been bothering the livestock. 20 humans had volunteered to help, treating it like a community picnic. She watched human children playing games in areas she had marked as extreme danger zones. Their parents supervised while discussing crop rotations and weather patterns. In the farming section, she saw Tom Harris planting new seeds in soil that was toxic to most galactic species. He was whistling a happy tune while he worked. At the maintenance shop, Alex Turner was repairing equipment that had been damaged by acid spitters. He complained loudly about having to order new tools, but seemed unbothered by the burns on his hands. Dr. Zixthera realized she was watching the future of galactic colonization. These humans would spread across the galaxy, settling on worlds that everyone else considered impossible to inhabit. They would tame planets that had been written off as too dangerous for civilization, and they would do it all while complaining about the weather and asking when lunch would be ready. In her final log entry, she wrote, "Initial assessment was catastrophically incorrect. Humans do not require protection from this sector's predatory life forms. Recommendation: other species require protection from humans. These creatures have survived in conditions that would exterminate most galactic civilizations." And they call it Tuesday. The next morning, Dr. Zixthera boarded her transport ship and requested reassignment to a nice, safe posting studying space plankton. As her ship departed, she looked down at the human colony one last time. Below her, Pete Johnson was hanging, laundry on a line, asking his neighbor if anyone knew how to get crystal wolf bloodstains out of work clothes.